Welcome to another special edition of Gorilla Radio. It is awards night. Mike and I have worn our suit jackets with our IndianaMat shirts underneath them.
I, I told Kim I feel like a tech billionaire. Like I'm gonna go, pitch some new, social media platform.
You got to go pitch the to some investors, IndianaMat.
Yeah.
Yes, we are all dressed up and we're ready to go. Uh, don't bust out my suit very often, but it looks like it needs cleaned. Thought I just cleaned it a couple years ago. There we go.
Last party went crazy, guys. The last party was crazy.
Yes, yes, it was the last. I don't even know when I wore it last. Someone's wedding or something. Probably have to wear it this for my sister-in-law's wedding this year. So it is.
Also, you're coming back in the region?
Yeah, we're coming back. It's the week after IPO, so
Nice.
they made sure they had to schedule. You know how big the event is when the family's like, okay, when can we have the wedding? Like, no, you can't have it this week. So
Opening week of the NFL, man. As I always know what week of IPO is.
yes, yeah. Or if you're ISWA, it's ISWA meeting day, the annual meeting that I did not do that on purpose. I promise that I did not do that on purpose. It was just easier to get set up on a Saturday than a Friday night. So, but anyway, it is awards night. We are handing out like 16 awards, I believe. So we got quite a few. I should have copied it. I did not.
Good amount of awards.
Yes.
Some highly debated awards in our underground group chat.
Yes, it was it was very very lively discussion and lots of very deserving individuals. Hold on, I'm bringing up I'm logging in my work computer real quick to get the list of awards so I can know what's going on because it was on that computer. Let's see.
Which is real cool because we have like a lot of different people. Obviously, we have all the semi-state rankers in there, and we're all gonna have different opinions of who's gonna be what. And so just kind of the debate and kind of what was being posted and the angles we were doing, which was really good.
Yeah, it was some lively discussion, and it goes to how deep the state is right now with a lot of good wrestlers. I know. I mean, it's like, oh, do we give it to this guy? Do we give it to that guy? And we like to spread the love, but also, we want to make sure deserving kids get their awards. So,
Yep.
That's in kids and coaches and stuff. So we have 1A wrestler and coach of the year, 2A wrestler coach, 3A wrestler and coach, 4A. Thank you, Coaches Association, for adding a 4A. And then
It's good though.
Yeah, the assistant coaches, the staff of the year award, girls coach of the year, and then our Miss Gorilla and Mr. Gorilla. So, Mr. Gorilla and Miss Gorilla, they each get a nice big award like this. So, this is our Miss Gorilla one. So, pretty nice awards that we hand out, and everyone else will get a plaque. Hopefully, they get the ones that are shaped like Indiana back in stock. Last year, I think we just had the regular ones.
My man Brandon Barton on. See, we're getting some viewers now. And then I know we always talk about it, but the Mr. Gorilla is it's voted on by a huge Mr. Gorilla, Mrs. Gorilla is a huge voting pool, right?
Yeah, there's just over 30 people that voted for Mr. Gorilla, and Miss Gorilla had a little bit less than about 20 people voted. And it's coaches, administrators, past champions, anyone that kind of try to get a good wide variety of people voting on both awards, just so we get, so it's not just like, say it's just Northwest Indiana people voting on it,
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. That way we get, people that see other guys, and the hardest part is, especially for the Mr. Girl, there's a lot of really good kids, nice kids, good kids that, that do are good wrestlers, not only good wrestlers, but they're great kids. And it's like, oh man, it's like, how do you vote for this? I know, like, do we vote for this guy? Do we vote for that guy? And then, I mean, you look at that, and then you also look at their accomplishments, and then you're like, everyone's pretty even this year. So, but we kind of had a runaway winner, which I thought it might be a little bit closer. Second and third were pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting seeing some of the votes and seeing how things shake out. So
Who was I the first to return my ballot for Mr. Gorilla? Try to be.
let's see, were you? No. Or no. Yes, you were. Yes. Cal Keith was second. So
Chris Garcia, I said that a long time ago. We should hand out the Chris Garcia Poster of the Year award.
name it after him.
Yeah, whoever is giving the most content, he might have taken it. I don't know, man. My man Joe Butler might have taken it down this year.
Do we rename it every year after the person that won it the previous year?
Yeah, Joe was on it hot this year. So we're just talking about Joe. You know, we hope that he stays on the board now that Joey's done.
Yeah.
Brandon Barnes is gonna be the new hookup in the Logansport region. I gotta get all my good info. He did call a run for Cole Chacon.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was one of the 4 people that voted that picked him to win on Friday night, let alone place.
Yeah.
They
went all the way there, man. So.
Yeah. So, what do we want to do first? How do we want to do the awards? Which one?
We could do should we do the coaches first?
Yeah, let's do the coaches.
Coaches are like the heavyweights. Like if we go at the awards, I want to tune out. No one want to hear the coaches.
Yeah. I did have this all perfectly timed out. So we'll go. Girls Coach of the Year is. Whoa. I had to put that there. Nick Skinner from Southport. They finished third in the at state. They had I need to get this right. They had quite a few qualifiers and really improved this year. So so that they had a real good year. So they kind of
they had a strong showing at freshman sophomore too, I believe, right?
Yeah. They had 8 qualifiers. They finished third by 3 points. So had a real good season there. So yeah, that was he is the Girls Coach of the Year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You want to do Assistant Coaches of the Year? The staff?
Yeah, so basically the staff of the year.
Yeah, this is one we just started last year and kind of, I don't know, I always feel weird saying Head Coach of the Year because everyone knows it's a staff. Everyone knows that I mean, the head coach at the schools that we're honoring, they're 5 or 6 deep, and those guys are putting in time. So, so we're gonna give a little bit of love to the Center Grove coaching staff: Braden Lytell, Josh Curry, Courtney's brother. I can't think of his name, and then Juju. Jeez, should have had these written down.
Yeah, and I think there was some good debate on that one. Obviously, we were kind of going back and forth. Such a lot of good staffs, but I think we were talking about off air, like just the turnaround for some of their smaller guys. I mean, LaRocca was a tick arounder last year to a champ. Mm-hmm. Goss turned around a major at Al Smith to state semifinals. Hyatt Yeager wasn't in the lineup last year under the lights. Reese Courtney was a ticket rounder. So obviously those guys are doing a great job. McConnell to the finals. Mm-hmm. Like those guys, Wyatt Frazier to the finals. But 12 for 12 in the ticket round, that's not just one person. Yeah. That's a staff. And, I think everyone that's been involved in the sport understands that. Yep. How difficult it is to do it solo. And obviously they built something there.
Yeah. So congratulations to them. We'll go 1A Coach of the Year. This was pretty easy. Joe Litherland from Tell City. He also got State Coach of the Year. So Tell City, they had a really good. I just saw your tweet. They had a really good year. Not only at the 1A level, but also qualified 4 for state, and absolutely brutal state, semi-state. So
yeah, and they've done a great job, and I think they have some young guys still. So I'm sure that they'll still be, right in the mix. But I know this senior class was really good too. So, congratulations.
Yep, they won their third straight 1A title. So
I was also there when he was getting his award. So 2 awards,
yeah.
3 weeks, not too bad, not a bad showing.
And our 2A coach of the year is Chad Shepard from Western. Western had a real good year, 2 state placers, and then 1 2A state over a really good Jay County, Hamilton Heights. They had a really good and a really really good showing at Al Smith. So
Yeah. I, I think that was the moment where I was like, man, they're really good. They're gonna be really hard to beat. Um, I was, obviously, I think they were a late addition to the Al Smith too. And
yeah,
now they were like, dude, we're coming back. We love this, and seeking out good competition. That'll help.
yeah, and it definitely helped them towards the end of the year. Our 3A coach of the year, Mr. Steve Sandifer.
My man.
So I did have a different picture of the one of him being picked up and like kind of. I was going to use that one, but I thought I might use a more professional one.
I thought you were gonna use the one that you sent me from the East Chicago
Oh
semi-state.
yeah, with you, yeah, I should have.
I sent it to him, and he said, "Man, I don't even know what we were talking about right there, but I look so shocked."
Yeah, so
The
congratulations to him.
Cavemen had a great year.
Mhm.
Coach Sandifer, obviously, great coach, man. Awesome dude.
Yep. And then, oops, gotta change the award. Really high tech right here. So our 4A coach of the year, drum roll, is Maurice Swain from Center Grove. Uh, they had pretty darn good run to say the least towards the end of the year. They got third at team state and then kind of put it together pretty. I mean, like you said earlier, 12 for 12 in the take around. That's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, and they had to deal with some injuries. They did. They lost Frazier for a little bit, and Johnson was out for a little bit. Klauser at the end with his knee. Just getting those guys through and keeping grinding. It's pretty amazing. The only 2 they didn't qualify were 6 and 32, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. You're having full team practices the week of state.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. That's pretty impressive. So
at one point they were on a roll. I had a taco bet going. My guy Matthew Francis. At some point, I was like, "Oh man, I might lose this thing.
Yeah,
they might win 12 tonight."
Yeah, that was I was like, there's 2 or 3 that I was like, okay, these are. I'm like, oh, that first session we were sweating because they were undefeated after that first session.
Yeah.
And
I was definitely like getting some messages, and people that watch the show are trying, letting me know like that I should be panicking. And
just tacos. It's just tacos. It's not a.
It's just tacos.
You didn't put the deed to your house.
Pride and tacos. No, pride and tacos.
Pride and tacos. There's plenty of tacos out there. I don't know how much more pride you have left, but so 1A wrestler of the year, Tice DuPont from Tell City. That he placed 5th this year. He was the highest placing 1A wrestler. There were only 5 placers from 1A. So made that one he made it pretty easy. Had a great season. Obviously placing 5th at 152 is pretty solid weight class. So congratulations to him.
Yep.
Our 2A wrestler of the year is Tylen Thrine from Newcastle. First freshman to get an award like this. And obviously had a pretty darn good tournament. Beat a nationally ranked guy, a returning state champ, someone that placed at the Ironman. So that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive weekend for him.
Yeah, I got some love on Flow this week. They posted the video for free.
Yes.
When we talked about it last week, and I thought like walking away, that was a guy that won the state finals. Like that was the buzz, and not just from the Frazier match, but across the weekend. Like everyone walked away like excited to watch him wrestle. Oh, we went 4A wrestle there. We jumped.
Nope, you guys didn't see anything.
All right.
Oops. Okay. Yeah, like you said, yeah, Thailand had a great tournament, and it's gonna be, he's right in that mix of a weight class where there's just a ton of really good wrestlers, ton of really good, guys, not only that are still in high school, that are coming up through high school, that are going to be, and now that he's going from the hunter to the hunted, and everyone's gonna be gunning for him. So it's gonna be interesting to see how how it plays out. I mean, if he's a 4-timer, if he's undefeated, dude, that's gonna be hard to. I mean,
Legend.
it's gonna be one of the you're gonna be talking about him on the level of Cersis and Angel and Jesse and all those guys.
Oh yeah.
So 3A Wrestler of the Year. This was a really close vote. We had to have a final tally in the group chat. Like, oh man, goes back and forth. Cole Salami from Kankakee Valley. And I'm sure he's watching this, and this is the exact same reaction he has. So, congratulations. Great season for him. First state champion in Kankakee Valley history.
Yep.
And
He, returned at the same weight last year. Had Jesse in the finals. Really good career, 4-time medalist.
yeah.
Going to Purdue.
Yep.
But it was close. That was probably the closest vote.
Yeah.
Just going back and forth, and we probably could have sent that out on a smaller ballot of Mr. Gorilla, right?
Yeah. It's like one of those things I should find like 10 people to help vote for these, because these this year it's been really dicey. Usually it's pretty easy. So, it's pretty cut and dry. Like at 1A, it's like it's the highest placer. There's no other person that's close. So, 4A Wrestler of the Year. You guys might have seen it a minute ago. Joey Butler from Whiteland. Nice hair. Hopefully he donates it to people that need it. That's the only way he's getting his award.
Yeah. And Joey had a great year, man. Won IPO in a stacked weight. Just continue to wrestle well. Like a guy that's continually got better every year. Going to IU.
Yeah.
Wrestled the state championship match week after week after week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was it sectional, regional, semi-state, state, or just regional, semi-state, state? Did he wrestle Ison 3 times in a row?
Just regional, semi-state, and state, because they're not in the same sectional. But yeah, we still had to
went out to Ohio and won the. I mean, Ison's no joke too. I mean, he won Brecksville, right? He's Brecksville champ.
Yeah. So he's that was a real good. I mean, he had a great year in a tough weight class. That there's like you always said that top 5 or 6 guys are all in the mix there, and they were in that weight class. And he had a returning champ that went down, before him. So, great seasons for him. So we will do the girls awards. Miss Gorilla. We'll go in reverse order. Which would be second or third place, which is second runner up, is Chrissy True from Jeffersonville. She is she's a 3 or 4-time placer. I gotta bring that up. I don't know that offhand. She was
Greco City.
Yep, Greco City. Where's she at? 3-time placer, 2-time champ. She won as a freshman and senior. So, real good year for her.
Bookended it, huh?
Bookended it, yeah. And
interesting points, Mike Havens.
Anyway, second runner up first runner up is Mackenzie Konaz from Penn, who is also a state champion. She did the bookends also. First, second, first. So 4-time finalist. So congratulations to her. And,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty impressive to be. I mean, in the level of the girls wrestling is getting better and better. And then pretty easy award winner for number 1 is Alani Davis from Kokomo, 4-time champ. I believe she's the 3rd girl to win 4. If I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken. So congratulations to her.
Yeah, pretty impressive accomplishment. like I said, there hasn't been many. We haven't had many of the tournaments, but the level of wrestling is getting better. And I know just talking to some of the people, they were saying how good she is, and like, oh man, you got to see her compete, and congratulations.
Yeah. So, moving on to the Mr. Gorilla Awards. The second runner-up is Mr. Orlando Cruz from Crown Point. Great kid,
Uh, yeah,
great career.
great year for Orlando. Um, Captain the state championship, beat a nationally ranked guy in the finals.
Yeah, beat a nationally ranked guy twice. Placed at the Iron Man upper weight class basically. Also on 190. It was 190 plus 3, so and 4. So he was basically wrestling 195. And that's pretty impressive to be all placed at a tournament like that, basically upper weight. Like him and Sammy were both upper weight. So
Yeah, and wrestled some big matches for his team this year. At the Mount Carmel duel, bumped up and got a win for them. And I know he chased he chased Brewer. I know they bumped Brewer, and he got that win. So really, really good.
yep. The second runner-up is Aiden Torres from Chesterton. Another one with a super dominant senior year, 4-time medalist, and just real great season.
Yeah, going to IU. Man, he got a bunch. Chesterton is really, really good. They just did an awesome thing about the Davison brothers at Northwestern, Big Ten. The Big Ten did. I don't know if you've seen that. Just kind of like talking about those guys and how Andrew ended up over there and just kind of their journey. And you realize, like, when you're seeing Aiden Torres kind of taking down a lot of these records, like, that's a legitimately, like, high-level program. You have 3 guys at Chesterton that are wrestling in the Northwestern lineup right now. Lucas is right there in the mix for a championship.
Yeah, so real good program there. Brandon Buchanan was second her freshman, or no, she was second last year. She got beat in the finals last year, going for her 4th. Hold on, there's a website for that, and I have it semi-updated. No, wrong one. Hold on.
So, lot of Big Ten love. Cruz going to Purdue, Torres going to IU. Of the 3As, Joey Butler going to IU, Solomon going to Purdue. Tyler Thrine has a couple years to make that decision.
Yeah.
So
Jaden Johnson from Penn, Davis, and then Riley Dempton Wolf are the 3 4-timers.
So, pretty elite company there.
So our Mr. Gorilla this year is Mr. Havens might be happy about this. Mr. Sammy Goen from Crown Point. So congratulations, Sammy! It's 2 years in a row, Crown Point with the Mr. Gorilla. So
yeah, great kid. I think I said it last time. If you go on my Twitter, I think it might be my Twitter picture. Sammy was in the background. Yep, you can see Sam, little baby Sam, going before the state finals, sitting back there as an 8th grader. What was he, 5th as a freshman at 106, and then 4th champ. Put on a better. He said it himself. Put on a better show under the lights this year.
Yeah. Yes.
Great get for IU. Great kid. So happy for Sam. And across the voting, it was actually a little bit wider than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a very tight, top, and I think it ended up being kind of further away than I thought.
Yeah, it was the second through. Sammy got, let's see, there were 31 votes, and Sammy got 28 of the first place votes. So Torres got 4, Cruz got 1. So there's a couple other people that got votes, but it was really close, and it's weird, you're just kind of trying to figure out who's going to get a few more votes and stuff, and it's a wide variety of people, all the way from north to south, some national people, Well, if they have, yeah, a couple of them did vote. So
Did all the former champs vote?
only a couple.
I mean, some of those guys are busy right now.
Yeah, yeah. So
Who who are the former champs?
the former champs are. Let's see. We have a web page for that.
Was the first one Tommy Forte?
Yes. Let's see. Mr. Gorilla was Tommy Forte, C.J. Red, Andrew Davison, and then we had co-champs Brayton Lee and Mason Paris, some Garcia
Not
kid,
bad.
Silas Allred, Cotty, Alex Cotty, and then Jesse and Sam now. So
Pretty good class of guys there.
yeah, some pretty darn good guys. So yeah, so it's been pretty interesting to see. This is what it looks like. This is the third year we've had a 4A Wrestler of the Year. So congrats there. So
What is Shenandoah 1A? So that's
yes,
probably
they
the
are
only 1A.
Silas won 2019 Wrestler of the Year, and then 2020 Wrestler, Mr. Gorilla. So
He's in the lineup in Nebraska, sporting a pretty nice mustache.
so happens when you get married, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, so good group of guys, and a lot of very deserving awards, and it was like we said, it was very tough to kind of like we're going back and forth. I'm like, come on, guys, I need to make a decision, and more or less, I want someone to tell me what to choose because I don't want to. There's a lot of really deserving wrestlers out there, so we like to give everyone, all their, we give as many people awards. That's why Mr. Havens, we did not give, obviously we could have given Sammy a Wrestler of the Year and Mr. Gorilla, but I don't think that's fair. It's not, there's a lot of good guys.
Yeah, and it would be and obviously, like, I was giving you a hard time, Mr. Havens. It's not but it'd be easiest just to say, hey, the champ. Like, I'm positive, even though it's a very prestigious award, Center Grove would trade that for a IndianaMat Coach Staff of the Year for that state championship that Crown Point got to bring home.
Yeah,
I would assume. I know that it's a cool award, but like, it'd be easy for us to say, okay, this is the best guy every year. Like, these are the guys are the champs, and that's kind of what it is. We want to give some recognition out, and Center Grove had a great year, and all those guys had amazing years. Yeah. I think that the voting pool is really cool. That like we have the former champs making votes, press is making votes, the national ranking guys. I think dude, I don't know. Jesse might trade as Mr. Gorilla for the cover of the IHSA program. But I think the way it's like kind of grown has been really cool, and I think that's really awesome.
Yeah,
it's something I look forward to every year as we kind of put that stuff together. Like I'm constantly in the back of my head, like, oh man, like who's gonna be Mr. Gorilla? Who deserves this? And I think last week I rattled off the 6 that I ended up voting for, and all those guys were right in the mix. I look at career. For me as a voter, I look at career. What they've done overall, like the national success. So a lot of that, like, it just into the dominant season for me. Like, one dominant season is great, and but I kind of look at the for me personally is like a bigger picture thing. Yeah. I always talk about like OW when people are trying to like determine OW. Do you go with the wrestler that dominated the tournament and killed everybody? Do you go with the wrestler that won the hardest weight? Are you looking at a prestige? And I think that's like the thing that like people have different opinions on who's the best wrestler there. Like, you might get 30-second falls across the board, but you didn't wrestle anybody that, was really good. Or you might have a weight where you have, you have a bunch of guys that are, nationally ranked. Like Orlando Cruz, while like Al Smith gets the most falls in the least amount of time, Orlando Cruz beat the only other nationally ranked guy in his weight class, which was really good. I know, Mr. Mike Havens. I'm just giving you a hard time, my man.
Yeah, and the Center Grove staff got the award last year, so it's not like they have, it's one of those things that Center Grove had a great run. Yeah. There's no question that they made a great run towards the end of the season, and I mean, getting 12, that's the most to state ever. Is 12.
Yep.
And and you're doing it out of these tough I mean, I hate to admit it, but that is the toughest semi-state. I'm going to
Would you say
swallow some
hashtag the
pride.
county?
What?
Would you say hashtag the county?
They're not even in the county.
I know.
They're in Johnson County. They're not even Hendricks County. So
They have two. They have a lot of really good academies there that are producing high level guys, and it's making that area unreal good.
yeah,
And you have to navigate those waters, like through the regional, like through your regional. There's state level guys getting put home at the regional. Like look at freshman sophomore state at 106. We just talked about it. Like that regional is unreal. And if you look at the incoming freshman list, there's a lot of guys that are going to be in that regional. And I don't know like what their plans are for redistricting anything. I have no clue, but that's a really like to get through that regional is really tough. I used to be like, he's a regional qualifier. If you're a regional qualifier there's a good chance that you might be like state level good.
yeah. That's. I mean, I kind of jokingly coined that the third fifth semi-state. Sorry, I'm trying to type and do 12 different things, and now everyone's using that. I'm like, oh, jeez, I hate when I coin things and like, I need to get like trademarks on that kind of stuff.
But it's true, and I think to get 12th to the state finals, it's never been done, and I think that and I've said it the last couple of years, and I stand by it, and I think it's going to continue to grow in the future. But man, that area is doing so well, and the state's deeper than it's ever been. Like the talent pool statewide is so good, and it's only getting better. That it's like it's exciting for us as a state to like kind of seeing a lot of hard work. Not my hard work, like I'm not coaching any of those guys, but the hard work of a lot of people, getting the recognition on the national level. I mean, you see it at the NCAAs right now. Like we have guys that are right in the mix for NCAA titles, probably more right now than ever before.
Yeah, and it's gonna keep improving. I think it's been 15 years pretty much since we've started this website in December, so we're 14 and a half years old, kind of, and it's amazing the quality of the wrestling, how much it's increased in these, and it's not because of us, but it's because but it's neat to see this rise in these guys that are nationally ranked, and a lot of people really give Indiana a ton of credit nationally. The right people do. I'll say that. Some people didn't even realize we had a state tournament until a week later, but
yeah.
But yeah, so I think the state it's neat to see the recognition our state is getting on the national scene, and even like when I went to Ironman and talking to the director, he's like, dude, you guys are good. You guys have some really good wrestlers. So
it used to be really like top down, where our good guys were really good, and then that next level was like and now it's starting to kind of like flow. Yeah, the girls are killing it also.
Yeah,
like we had a bunch of girls nationally ranked right now.
Yeah, I tweeted out about a month ago when they had their last update, and there were quite a few. I mean, there was like 10, 12 girls that were nationally ranked, and and we had two. We had three in like one weight class. So
yeah. So I mean, that just speaks to the hard work that other people are putting in there also. But you can see it at all, not just the NCAA level. Like it's easy to say NCAA because that's what you see more on TV. But you see the in-state colleges. Wabash has had success. Marion's doing well. And UIndy's just killed. Like you're seeing guys at UIndy like the Baileys and Sprague. They qualify? I was kind of seeing the tweets. I didn't click on it though. They just had all their qualifiers allotted, right?
Yeah. All the qualifier NAIs are this weekend, and someone posted it. D2s, both Baileys did. I think Blue Ball did. Indianapolis did really well.
And it's a lot of guys that you watched, over the years compete in Indiana, and you see them doing well now at the national level. We talked about. You heard Riley Lefevre getting, shouted out at the state finals. He's a 4-time NCAA champ for Wabash. Now he's coaching the D1 level. He was competing at a high level on the club level. Or what do they call it? RTCs, there's not club level, right? Just international level.
Yeah.
but you see the sport growing and getting better, and I think there's it's creating more opportunities for guys to compete and get educations at the next level too. Dude, man, Evan Burge, he was good.
Yeah.
I'm a Cutchin guy also.
Yeah. So it's in what NAIs are this week, or junior colleges this weekend too, I believe. I want to say Riley Bedich is wrestling there. I think.
Yeah,
I think he qualified. I saw some other people. I have not had time to look into that, but
I seen Riley wrestling for Indian Hills, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been pretty neat to see all of the success not only at the Division 1 level, but like you said, at the there we go. Got her name wrong.
I think that's always a really cool thing. Yeah, I seen Dingers wrestling for NAIAs, which is really cool.
Yeah, and Indiana Tech, they have a good mixture of Indiana guys and actually they have some pretty good girls too, and some people from out of state. That I mean, Marion has had a great season. They qualified 9 or 10, I think. I gotta bring that up because I know someone posted it. There's a lot of it's pretty impressive to see. And I wrestle at NAIA and junior college. NAIA and a D2 school. So Indiana Tech, Elijah Anthony, Matt Gimpson, Braden Herb, all from Indiana. Wow, there's a couple. Elijah Chacun might get an at-large. They said. Marion has Mulkey, Asa Garcia, Logan Wagner, Bailey Moore, Elliot Rogers, Holland Donor, Sam Osho, Jack Serves, who might be wrestling like 350 by now. I think he's like
triple. Dude, he got weight. So big, right?
He was like wrestling 197. Was he like a 52-pounder his senior year?
I thought he was. The legend, man. His grandfather's the legend at Wabash.
Yeah.
Coached for a long time.
David Pearson also, the professor chimed it from St. Thomas. He qualified, so he's at St. Thomas. He's coached by, oh geez, I just had former Purdue legend Pataskal.
Yeah, the Pataskal, the backpack.
Yes, the backpack. So pretty cool to see that. And let's see, D3 qualifiers. Yeah, Bergie, Jake Buford from Crown Point.
I seen Burford was gone.
Chris Rump is still wrestling. It seems like he might be about 45. He might be older than us.
Man, I felt like in that Burford weight, there was a couple Indiana guys. I know Rump was in there too.
Yeah.
Carolyn Keith qualified.
Yeah. Cole Cervantes. Oh yeah, Kaylin Keith from
Central.
Yeah. That's a good one. Gavin Lehman from Ohio. Oh, geez, I didn't realize that was him. Gavin Lehman at Ohio Northern, and then Jack Height from Wabash up at heavyweight is national run-up. A lot of these guys.
Say Javin Estrada.
Okay. Yep. Jeez. Yeah, I need to get on this. A lot of these guys, especially, did Bergie? He didn't qualify for state, did he?
I remember, did he? He was right in the mix.
Yeah.
I'm sure my boy will let us know right now.
Yeah. Cervantes did. He got 8th. Did Lehman qualify, or was he right on the mix all that time?
I think he was right on the mix.
And then Height.
He might have qualified one year.
Hell did not. Oh yeah, and Streck. And Streck qualified. He's been dominating people. So, jeez.
Heavyweight D2, man.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of representation. That is next weekend. D2s.
Yep,
and D3s.
He did almost beat Watts first try. I was trying to think if he did.
Okay. So yeah, D2s and D3s are next weekend. NAIs and junior college is this weekend. So, yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be lots of good wrestling. The wrestling season's not over.
Yeah, I mean you see a lot of the, so it's not just the guys that are D1, but we're well represented at the D1 level too. You're gonna see a lot of Indiana guys at the Big Tens.
Almost done making all the tweets. So, the only other thing should be a fairly short episode. Freshman sophomore state was this weekend, and that was
One of my favorite events.
yes, that's always a um, you know one that you always watch and kind of just see what goes on because it's kind of a very telltale sign. I know we have unofficially gone through some of these guys and seen what they have done afterward, and it's pretty good sign of what's coming up in the future. So
Yeah, there's always a couple events that I think we look at rankings wise through the year, like that are like not IHSA events. Right before the season, we always talk about the guys that are like right on the brink. If you're wrestling IPO, there's a good chance you can get into the rankings or kind of solidify a ranking or jump some rankings. Super 32 is a big one. We try to hold out until Super 32 to see where the rankings go. There's a couple of duels right before the season that we look at where guys can be kind of closer to weight. But like right after the season, freshman sophomore is a big one. I think that's been a huge event. And every year they did something way better. And next week or this weekend's 1A, 2A state, which is the second year for it. But I'm extremely excited because last year they held it on the same weekend as freshman sophomore. So there was a weird mix of guys, who were missing in and out of there. But I was, just kind of watching through the day of the 2 days for ISWA Folkstyle State, obviously all the ISWA events. But they did the freshman sophomore girls event also. So you've seen a lot of names in there of people that are having a lot of success.
Yeah. A couple things that I guess jumped out to me. 106 from the the Mooresville Regional is going to be a little bit easier this next year, right? Top four placers, actually five of the top 7 were from Mooresville. I'm just like, no, what's going on here? And that doesn't even include Nate Rio or Revan Dickman, who are both at 106 right now. And
under the lights.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure. I mean, I would guess Nate Rio will likely be at 106 again. Dickman, the rumor is he's going up, but I'm not. He's not huge at 106.
No. Leonard, I know he missed some of the year. That was good to see him back. Gavin Ash, Dude Heaston, both their brothers were in the semifinals at the state finals at 113. So pretty tough partners. Yeah. I believe Ash is a twin, right? Those are twins.
Yeah.
Heaston's senior. This one, I believe, is a freshman. Avon had one, and then Getz was in there. I think Getz was up too. They had Shutley at 106. I think he was wrestled 13 a bunch of the year. Tyler Tone was behind Ocampo. He was a semi-state qualifier last year.
Regional.
Or was he regional?
He was pretty undersized as a freshman. He's a sophomore, obviously now, but he was really undersized. If he was over 90 pounds, I'd be surprised.
Justice Thrasher, who was in center girls liner, and John Bismeyer had a good season. Yeah. He had some good wins. Beat the semi-state champ out at Newcastle at one point.
Yeah. So he's and Bismeyer was right on the verge of qualifying for state and finishes 8th there. So that's pretty loaded, and especially these lower weights, you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to be in the mix for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean Nathan Reyes, Braylon McIntyre. Was he undefeated going into the ticket round, or one loss guy? North Miami.
Let's see. Don't wanna.
Brody King, real tough. Jordan Cork. He was a 6-pounder. I know he was in that mix with Horn and those guys. Richard Rogers was in the mix. I believe he was a ticket rounder.
Yeah. McIntyre had one loss and drew into Levi Johns. He lost to Jalen May and then Levi Johns. So that was a rough.
Yeah, not a bad year. He lost in the finals to Nathan Reyes, who had a good year. Don McBrown was a state qualifier for Lowell. And we kind of talked about it. He only had about 4 losses. I think 2 of them were to Jackson, one to Sunny Sessa in the semifinal, and then one Friday night to Mosier. beat Peyton Richards, who I think he was undefeated into the ticket round. Had a real tough draw, semi-state. He might have had Goss.
Yeah. Gosh,
Elijah Brody, a state qualifier. Quentin Schaff had some really good wins. Drew Walden, a state qualifier, 113. The other really cool thing is to see where kind of guys jump. Like weight-wise, some of those guys go up. Some of those guys are down. But like you'll see, like some of the weights. You look at Aiden Campbell's at 26. He was a ticket rounder. Ron Cowley had a really good showing there. Alex Pateco. Matthew Maldonado was a ticket rounder. William Vander. I'm sure Center Grove's lineup's not easy to get into.
Yeah, it's Vander Laud, or I believe I think they cut off his last name, but yeah, he had a couple of significant wins during the season. Terry Easley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chance Fishers had a good year. Seth Syra had a really good year. Just that regional at 32 is tough. The semi-state at 32 at Evansville was incredibly tough. Me had a guy like Coy Hammond go home in the ticket round. Sam Bustamante, Bishop Chatar is doing a really good job. Lane Kitchener had some good wins for Jennings County. I know he had a really good Mooresville. Jack Davis had a win over Jesus Morales. Oscar Baca's a backup at Crown Point. Tough to get. Anthony Hinton representing Hammond Central. I like it. See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tommy Gibb had some like notable state final level wins. Yes. Couldn't get in the lineup. Beat a guy that was a ticket rounder, Michael Ortega for Portage. Luke Reed had some really good wins. Both those guys were ranked. Marlo Kirksey was a regional champ. Wyatt Cooksey, really, really tough guy. Silas Stitz wrestled 52 during the season. Obviously, Center Grove's pretty good at 45.
Yeah.
Comes down a weight. Wins a good 145 there. That was like one of the weight classes I was following through the day. Caleb Bonebarner for Evansville North, I believe. Mason Day, a state qualifier for Brownsburg. Christian Wittenkamp also up at 52. Jay County had a pretty good 45.
Yeah. Yeah, that was well, I don't think they were that. Who'd they have at 45?
Cameron Clark.
Wasn't he at 38? Or no?
I thought he was 45.
Was he?
No, Tony Wood was 38.
Okay, yeah, so then you're right. Yeah, so
then you got a guy like Cameron Mike South, who was a 32-pounder from Western Boone up at 45 with these guys coming down. Alex Smith was a 45-pounder. That's a good weight. 52. You got Silas Foster, who was a 38-pounder.
Yeah.
Up at 52. He missed weight at one of the rounds, right? Was it sectional he missed weight?
I believe, yeah.
So then he said, I'm not cutting weight anymore. Good for him.
And then goes out and wins 152. A solid weight class.
Yeah, Evan Hamlin, Ethan Rodriguez was a ticket pounder for Wawasee. Dieter Gerst was a 38-pounder for Lowell. Michael Kane, Hamilton Heights, spent some time in the rankings. Good win.
Yeah. Another Bishop Chatard. They had 3 placers. MJ Morton, Xavier Palacios. Solid, tough freshman for Belmont.
Yeah, 70. You had another guy that missed weight at one of the rounds, jump a couple weight classes, 52 to 170 for Anthony Reinhardt. Beat Ethan Farnell, Mechaniqua, Noah Sumner, James Hastings, Sir Godwise. And you're seeing some of the teams that are in the mix going forward, too. Perry Meridian was a team that's returning a lot, and you see a lot of their guys getting extra mat time in.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of those guys at ISWA State, too. It is nice for them that they don't have to travel that far for those events. I won't lie.
Yeah. Jet Goldsberry was a state qualifier. Had a real good match Friday night with Duke Myers. A couple other guys, in that mix.
Corliss, I know he was in the rankings. Ringleson was a ticket rounder. Monroe Central has another big guy, which will be interesting to see how they've had some pretty good success with some bigger guys.
Trey Dunning, I'm sure it's tough to get in the mix there. 70, 82, 95 at Mishawaka. Andy Warren, he was a guy that was in the mix. I know he was in the rankings for a little bit at 195, won it there. Parker Hart, Heritage Hills. Gabe Hardy was in the rankings. Bryson Mata, I think he was undefeated guy at the sectionals. Austin Reading, just behind some hammers, man. Those guys are all pretty tough.
it's interesting seeing some of the teams. Like you were talking off the air. Heritage Hills had 3 or 4 placers.
Yeah.
You let's see.
220, Everett McLean Portage, Tyler Roll, Intense Wrestling, Anthony Troy, Brecken Marin. Jaden Bartowski was a state qualifier for Hanover Central. He was 5th there at 220.
Yeah, Marin's like a ticket rounder, I believe. His cousin was a state champion for Carroll.
Dun dun dun.
Which I didn't realize that till semi-state when I was there. He was there because Mr. Muncie said that he sent me a message that he was at Goshen Regional. I'm like, well, I understand why he was there, and then, but yeah, that's his cousin. So might get some good off-season training.
Heavyweight's one of those weights too. You look back and a lot of these guys are going to be in the mix. If we look back 4 years ago, I bet a lot of those heavyweights were in the mix. Mm-hmm. Ben Land for Greco City was a Triple Crown winner last offseason. Trevi Hillman Conley had a really good Al Smith. Tristan Machette for Portage, pretty solid. Jackson Sargent coming up from 220. So I think those guys are all pretty tough, man. It's a great event, and you've seen a lot of big names in the women's side of that too. I know Joey Cantu won. So pretty good. You've seen a good mix of schools in that event also.
Yeah, interesting seeing who. I have to add these up, but I wonder who kind of won the boys. They have all groups like scoring, but it's like all the score, everybody to combine, so it has girls and guys. Portage is likely Portage and Heritage Hills, Jay County. I think Jay County had a lot of girls. Brownsburg, it's kind of scary when you're naming Brownsburg and Center Grove, Crown Point kids, and you're like, like they're not stopping. None of those programs are stopping, so you got to step up your game, just to compete that level.
Yeah, I was just talking about this with someone else. I think one of the things that's really cool about the wrestling community is there's a lot of competitors. Like coaches are competitive, and I think like when these guys are having success, they want to build up their program and make it competitive too. And like you have to find the ways to keep on that edge. And just talking with some people about off-season stuff, and like there's so many opportunities to get better. We talked about I was talking to Hector at the state finals. And he said, like, Cody Goodwin made Jesse Mendez a better wrestler because Cody used to beat Jesse all the time. And essentially took like a whole year of just training and getting better. And it really helped him improve his game, and it took him to the next level.
Yeah.
Oops. They say every time you go away from your mic, they can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I will turn I was trying to mess with the, that should be better now. I was trying to mess with so you couldn't hear me clicking and typing. I think I might have to change mics, get a different mic, because it's like I was playing around with it. So,
freshman sophomore, really cool event. Well, definitely, especially like a lot of the bigger weights that helps fill out the rankings.
Yep.
Like what you do there, where your wins are at, are going to help me like kind of like go through the wormhole of wrestling and see where those guys are at. So like if it's someone that's looking to be on the radar, those are good events. 1A, 2A state is another one now, especially now it's on a separate weekend. I know we love our state finals and the way it's done, but essentially we watched the 4A state finals.
Yeah.
In Indy. Like there's a lot of 4A guys that were in the mix, and Tyler Thorne was a 2A guy and he won it. And I'm not a proponent for changing it. If it changed, it might at first be weird, but over time it'd be fine. But the 1A, 2A event gives those guys a really good opportunity to go showcase their skills and get the recognition that they deserve too.
Yeah, there were 10. I was doing the math. Just I don't want to get on a class wrestling. Everyone knows where I feel, where I stand there. But there were 10 champions from 4A. There were only 5 state placers in 1A. From 1A, and the highest was a 5th. So I mean, there's something wrong, and in the Coaches Association saw that, and they've done great with that with our team duels. they took what they could, and then they even when they went to 4 classes, I wasn't really the biggest fan of it at first, but now I did like it, and I actually like how they split it up. That they take it 2,000 or more, and then it's about just under 1,000 to 2,000 or 19, 1,999 is 3A, and then they split the next two, so it's a little bit. That's a better group of teams, and if you do it how they do everywhere else, uh, the cutoff would be like 750. So it'd be like 751 and higher would be 2A, and then everything below, because there's such a wide range of school sizes in Indiana, which is crazy to think that we have what 25 30 schools that have 2,000 or more, and then we have a lot with less than 500.
Yeah.
So
Um, and I think, like I said, so I'm not the person that's banging the table for class wrestling. I didn't even know like IndianaMat wasn't a big school until till I was out of high school. So they're like, you went to a pretty small school. I was like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
And then you see other schools, and you're like, oh man, you see like a school like North Central, like, oh man, this is like college, right?
Yeah.
Um,
been
but
we've been going to Garrett for wrestling club, and and Rocco asked, like, where's the high school? I go, oh, it's connected. Everything's connected at Garrett together. He's like, really? Like they only have one elementary? I go, yep. I go, the elementary. He's like, where's the elementary? I go, it's right there. Oh, where's the middle school? Right there.
and and like I said, I like the overall thing of the event. I like the way it's ran. It'll be different next year, and I know that's a big hot topic on the board of the location. And we only have some ideas, and anything that we're saying is just rumors, anyways. But it'll feel different for a year. But I'm sure, like the IHSA, do a great job. Um, I seen Dustin posting some videos of his mic skills.
Yes.
Not bad. I'm surprised he uses a microphone, honestly. Uh, but I think that the 1A, 2A event's really a cool event to kind of get those guys the recognition that they deserve.
Mhm.
And kind of, I don't know if it's a fair playing field or not, but it's definitely a more fair playing field. So I love that event. And I'm glad that they changed the weekends, because I think that was my biggest gripe last year.
Yeah.
It took away from the like freshman, sophomore. And I think there was just like literally just a regular error, right?
Yeah.
Like people are just like, we didn't know, we messed up. We just picked this date. It was on this date. It was an accident, and they changed it.
Yeah. So no, that's good. I think that's good. That was one last year that we saw some guys that were like, man, I wish they would have gone to freshman, sophomore, because I think they would have
Yeah.
helped with rankings more than anything. It's just you
Oh, yeah.
want to see everyone wrestling together at the same weekends, just like if they put the 1A 2A state in 2 weeks at over ISWA state weekend, and it's like, no, you're gonna start pulling away from there, and I want to see Brady Beck and over at Javante Hinton or whoever else is wrestling at 220 there. We want to see those types of matches, and we don't want to see them both split up in 2 or 3 different events. So yeah, so that's gonna be kind of looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward, that is this weekend, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so that's a great idea, and hopefully it goes well for it looked like it was pretty well received last year, so I think it's good for them to get that off the ground. And they got some coaches. I saw Hamilton Heights is they're promoting it. I know Rochester's been promoting it, and I just had it up a minute ago. I can tell you some of the teams that are bringing some. I think Bishop Chittard is bringing some guys. Attica, Beech Grove. Beech Grove's bringing 14. Attica's bringing 12.
Man,
Cascade
I
has
legit thought
10.
Beach Grove was a big school my whole life. I thought Grove was like
I did
like
too. When I started doing that, I'm like, no way. Oh wow, that's Faith Christian has 20 registered. I don't know if that is an error or
they've been doing a good job.
Yeah.
I know they're in the mix for the vote-in too.
Yeah. Hanover Central has 13. Indiana Def has 14. Let's see.
Coach Bradbury's doing a great job there.
21 from North Miami. North Putnam has 22. Owen Valley is bringing 14. Rushville 15. Southmont. See, Rochester does not have anyone registered right now. I assume they'll be bringing guys. I don't know. Southmont has 14. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty well attended event. Went North Putnam, I said, had 22. Mishawaka Marion has 10. So it's going to be a good, you know, it's the more you wrestle, the more you get your results on track. It helps us out tremendously, especially in the off season, especially when we
Mhm.
know what weights you're going at. Off season's always fun to, like you said, you see some guys jump up and jump down.
Yeah, there was. I think Coy Hammock was at like 52 at one event. They said he was just wrestling up, but I was like, man, we had him at 52 at some point.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, he's pretty tall and lanky, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, that's fine. He bulked up, and I know he plays football and stuff, so
Yeah,
like, no, he's
Faith
go,
Christian is doing a good job.
yeah,
They've had a good showing the last couple of years. I know that's a pretty small school.
yeah. So, the only I know you were, I don't know, were you talking about the uh, state location for next year, or what?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that for a second.
Yeah,
I know people are saying Purdue now. I know it was Evansville, Fort Wayne. Everyone's kind of throwing their hat in there, and I know that everyone's trying to project like what they think is going to happen with some of the seating arrangements and things like that. And I know you said Purdue's pretty cozy. We can be right up on the mat.
yeah, yeah. That one will be. I think I don't know. I know when I was down there, they had said that Purdue's throwing their kind of late through their hat in the ring, and it sounds like they're going all in for it. They're saying that they're able to get the availability, which is the biggest thing there. Um, so yeah, they're putting in a pretty good pitch. I don't know if I mean personally, I'd rather it be in Evansville, and that's me driving 5 hours versus 2.5 to 3.
Yeah.
Just because I think that venue is a little bit nicer, and I get their cushion seats and stuff like that. So I mean, I either way, I don't. I mean, it's yeah. As Blake said, it's not going to be an indie. If you did not
No.
see my post, you can't find a hotel room. Number one. Number two, if you do find one, that is not a by the hour hotel, no tel motel.
With the
Um,
quarters at the vibrating beds.
yes, yes, and they have corded telephones, and they actually give you keys.
Man, did I tell you when we were in Ann Arbor, like we had to like leave the hospital one night and we went to the bell tower. I think it's called the bell tower. It's like right downtown Ann Arbor. It was the closest thing to the hospital.
Yeah.
And we go in there and there's like one really, really old dude in there. He handed me two like actual room keys. And I was like, man, I think I only need one. He's like, I would take two. Sometimes you leave them in the room. And I had to like turn this lock. I was like, bro, I seen some kids riding like a tricycle down the hallway, two twin daughters. It was weird, man.
Nice. Yeah. I, the one time when we went to Big Tens at IU, Chad was involved. And this was probably the last time that Chad, I think, got the hotel. And the furniture inside was plastic lawn furniture, like your porch
Nice.
furniture.
That's a come
Like,
up right
come
there.
on, and our key never worked the whole weekend. We had to get him to go get us in every time.
Um,
That's how you get out
yeah.
of doing hotels for groups when you go through a group of your buddies.
How long do you think? I mean, obviously, it's just a guess, and then we're not going to hold you to it.
Yeah,
You think when that decision would be around?
I I am. I know. I can't remember who said it was on the board, but it has to be happening soon. I know. I can just say when I was down there for the bracket reveal, I got the sense that it wasn't going to happen, that week. I was like, sounds like they're trying to. Sounds like number one, they're tying up some loose ends, but also maybe feeling out that Purdue offer and stuff. So that would be interesting.
I know
And
Illinois serves that in Champaign too.
yeah, yeah, the Ohio
I
State.
think that's a.
Like I
I
said on
think
that. Oh, go ahead.
I use Assembly Hall as a bigger arena though, right?
Yeah, and it has a little bit nicer seats, but it's not very good viewing for wrestling because it's made because the seats go up kind of like this way, and it's. I mean, you can watch it. You're not going to be. it's not going to be horrible, but it's not going to be great either. So I would, yeah. But I know it sounded like IU's athletic director was like, no, we're not interested from the sounds of what I heard. So IU is pretty much out, even though I think I think obviously you ask any D1 wrestling coach, like, yeah, I want to host it,
Yeah.
that obviously there's some logistics that go in there too of having the availability. Ohio does have Ohio State. They have it on their campus and everything, but they also have their state so late that it's the basketball. They don't have to worry about basketball, so they just have to worry about the Arnold Classic. So there's a bunch of meatheads.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's Ohio just started their state series last week. So I don't. I mean, if obviously if like you said, Illinois. I want to say I don't think Wisconsin has it on their campus. Maybe they do.
Illinois, man. If it's let's go. Let's go to Madison. Why don't we take that road trip to see Zach?
Yeah.
Illinois State Farm Center is a 15,544 indoors arena. Okay. Champaign. It's pretty big.
Yeah. So I don't know when they're gonna. It sounded like it was a few weeks off, and someone said that at the next meeting, which would be March, I think 24th, which is about a month. I just want to know. Everyone just wants to know. They just want to get it out there and just know where it's gonna be. I still think. I mean, it sounded to me like Evansville was pretty well sealed up, but obviously, the scholar has said he put some pretty convincing things in there that sounded like put a pretty solid offer. So,
yeah, Wrestling Scholar had some really good insight.
Yeah, and that's not something you can tell. He's talked to a few people, and you can tell that's not just that's not just someone making it up. Either that or he's really good at making stuff up. And usually he's pretty good with information.
And he is. He's been known to make some stuff up.
About the Logansport Regional.
Yep.
No, he usually has pretty good information, so I trust what he's saying. So it'll be interesting. I want to find out. I'm curious. I want to make my plans and be, I'm still thinking it's Evansville that way. Worst case scenario, if it's in Fort Wayne, hey, I'm happy. At least I'm not like thinking it's gonna be Fort Wayne and then just dread driving to Evansville. So,
do you think that if it's in Fort Wayne, you're gonna get a hotel?
I don't. No way. We're having a block party on Victory Bay, and literally,
let's go. I know your neighbors already don't like it, so
yeah. If you guys don't know that is not a joke. I literally live on Victory Bay, so. I don't know. I think half the people probably think it's a joke, and half the people don't understand that really I do live on Victory Bay.
I mean, I like to hang out downtown. So if it's at Purdue, I'm like in between, weird in between, because I think I'm not that far from Mackey. Like Lowell's like close enough to drive, where it's probably financially responsible for me just to drive an hour, but also it's not like morally responsible for me to do that driving.
We'll get a big IndianaMat house or something. We'll find an Airbnb and IndianaMat party house. Jeez,
it'd be great.
So,
we'll have a mixer.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, I think with ISWA coming up, it's always like another thing I always like. I mean, we get the state stuff out is like the cadet side of it, because you have some really good middle school guys that are incoming freshmen or alleged incoming freshmen. Oh, I don't know. What was the attendance this year?
At state,
I know Mr. Kevin Whitehead, the legend, was watching earlier.
I think someone said it was over 30,000 for all sessions. So it's always around 30,000. So it's about 10,000 a session, which is crazy.
Man, that Ford Arena with 11,000 people would be tight.
Yes. Well, it's going to be, because it's only about 9,000. It's upper nines for a hockey setup, which is what you'd have to go with.
Whew. So
you're going to get friendly. We're going to get friendly there. Hopefully we get it. Hopefully we can get, if it's at Ford Center, we can get a suite. I gotta,
That'd be
anyone that has a connection, IndianaMat gear is really nice. You really they're the soft t-shirts. They're not just cotton shirts. We have lots of
little
stuff.
tri-blend action.
Yeah, we don't mess around. So IndianaMat gear, free silverback for life. You get a say.
Get some stickers.
Yeah, you get. Oh yeah, you can get a Mike or Joe sticker.
We
So
got them back now. They're back in stock.
yes, yes. So I mean, the plethora of things you can get if you help us get a suite in Evansville. If it's in Evansville, I mean, it's priceless.
Uh, who's number one? Just of Indiana Mad guys or Indiana guys, or the national one?
We had that 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
I,
Um,
I have thought about doing that before. I've had that idea, but it's so weird because we are a one class state, so we know who number one is. I mean,
yeah.
and I don't think people are gonna run it back. Like I'm sure I'll say something like Logan Fraser's like, hey, I want to go out, I want to wrestle Thrain again. Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
But does Thrain's like I already beat you. Why do I need to prove it? I think
Yeah.
it'd be really interesting to see who would accept and who would say, nah, I already proved it last week, 2 weeks ago. Why do I have to prove it here in a month or whatever? So it's
Yeah.
I've thought about it. I've even trying to get some catch weight type matches, but it's in some other states do a lot of that stuff. But it's easier with classes because then you can build some hype. Oh, 2A versus 3A state champions, or what's better, 3A or 2A? You can really build some hype in there. Here, I'm like, well, the third place better than the second place? That's not. You can't build too much hype there. So
I think
we're working on.
we kind of talked about it. Like Dream Team was kind of last night, but there's a lot of D1 guys this year that could have been Dream Team.
Yeah. We're working on it. Not for this year, but I definitely want to bring that back again. That was a blast, and we have some guys there. I don't know if they are even having it again yet. I know they got set back with COVID, and then just some things going on behind the scenes. So I was thinking about it this year, but then just got too busy with other things. So we'll look into it in the near future. I know the Cliff King guys really. I talked to them at Pittsburgh, and they're like, they were at the Dream Team here, and they're like, dude, you gotta do it again because that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, this would have been a cool class for it. I know we kind of talked about it late, but like Crown Point with a pretty strong senior class, maybe we could have had in the region, and kind of like we did at Brownsburg when they had that one, that strong class. But we had a lot of D1 guys in the senior class, which was really cool.
Yeah, and they're spread out, which had been fun there. So yeah, we'll definitely something I'm looking forward to. We'll try to do it again. Hopefully they start that back up. Maybe we're gonna have to be the ones that push for it. So
I think with ISWA season coming up, the cadet state, you never know who's gonna wrestle from the older guys. But every year you're gonna see some guys that are freshmen incoming that are gonna wrestle maybe some medalists, some guys that are qualifiers. And I know like M. Scholar does a really good job on the youth board. I don't know if everyone knows we have a youth board and a college board that people can go those two, which is always really cool. But they do the youth board rankings, and there's a lot of really tough incoming freshmen coming in. I just jotted some names down of guys that I could see at the ISWA stuff coming up. Kid like Alex Huddleston, they have him as an 8th grader. I don't know if he's gonna. He's little though, man. He's really, really small. I believe he wrestled middle school state at like 77. He might be kind of a year away from growing or start lifting, through the summer. But I'm sure that's not something that they're avoiding. Yeah. Cesar Salas, his dad wrestled at Maryville. He's registered as a Maryville guy. He's a bigger guy. I believe he's like a 220. He wrestled at Indy Nationals the day after state. I was hoping to see him and Gunner. I think they were both at 95, actually. Mm-hmm. He lost in the semis. I think he ended up 3rd there. I know we had a couple guys wrestle Indy Nationals that were incoming freshmen. Indy National is the event we look at, too. We were talking about events that we look at. Mm-hmm. We just kind of look at the results on that real fast. I believe he was at 220. Sorry, I'm trying to pull the bracket from my phone. No, he was at 195, I think. So definitely a guy coming in. Lost in the lost to B. Smith of Warren Central, 12-7. Wrestled back to third place. As an eighth grader, pretty good at a pretty big weight. Miguel Rojas, I know we've talked about him before from Brownsburg. I think he's two-time Tulsa champ.
2 or 3.
Pretty impressive. He's also a bigger guy, about 170. 170-ish, so he'll fit in that lineup pretty well. Braylon Reynolds, I know they have him listed as Avon on that board. He also competed at freshman sophomore. Won the weight, I believe, at 120. Let me look at that. He was listed at like freshman sophomore state at one point, and I was like, man, are we letting eighth graders in now? And they said it was just a typo. Yeah, he beat Volts for a championship there. Braden Volts from Easton Hancock. Tech fall in the finals. 12-0 in the semis over Jet McGuire. Fall. So pretty dominant. Gavin Lewis of Hobart. I know he's a couple-time middle school champ. Evan Stanley, I know. I think he'll be at Lowell. I know he had a win over Thrine this past summer. I believe he was in the same weight as Mosier, where Mosier didn't place. Really, really talented wrestler. I know he's kind of been in the mix. He's about 132-ish area. I know he's wrestled IPO. He didn't wrestle IPO this past year. His sister made the mistake that your sister-in-law didn't make. She had her wedding the same day as IPO, so they were up in Michigan at their wedding. Talking to his dad's the head coach at Lowell. Not that he was disappointed, but I know that's an event that they look forward to. They're always looking to get good matches. I know he's hoping that some of those guys wrestle some of the bigger events. And then Clinton Shepard, Crown Point, had a really good IPO. He's going to be in the mix, probably about between 120 to 132 area, where they're losing some of those guys. So Thrine in the summer is not the same Thrine right now. Yeah, he just won a state championship. He killed it, man.
Yeah.
But those guys, I'm sure those guys will be looking to try to match up this summer. Clinton Shepard at IPO, I think we talked about it before, had a monster day. He's a guy I felt like really turned a corner, where I felt like he was like in the mix and maybe was further down in the middle school rankings. And then at IPO, he lost to Cole Evans, 6'1", of Perrysburg. Beat Thrain Kindman of Bluffton. That's in Ohio, Bluffton, though, right?
What? Who was it?
Beat. No, this is 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago. The one. Sorry, one off. He was third this past year. He beat Luke Rio 15-2. Beat Gavin Gendris 5-1. Lost to Hockaday 6-1. Beat Luke Rio by fall. Beat Seth Aubin by fall. Cecilia Williams, he tech falled and beat Lincoln Parsons by fall. So that's a pretty solid day at a pretty good event for a guy that hasn't stepped on a high school mat yet. That's going to get into a nationally ranked lineup.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, there's a lot of good guys and girls coming up right now, so it's going to be pretty good, pretty fun to watch over the next couple years. So, anything else we have?
I think that was it.
Yep. I don't know when we'll get on next. Obviously Mike's having softball heating up. So
yeah, high school stuff start tryouts next week. Normie plays this weekend. I was just in Iowa in wrestling country this past weekend, so putting some miles on the tires. It's an exciting year, man. Just a good year of wrestling. It went fast.
Yeah, it did. It kind of went slow at first, right up until about Al Smith, and all of a sudden Al Smith hit, and then it seemed like the next week it was state finals.
Yeah, I felt like it went really, really quick. I'm sure you can grab some people on, and especially people that are involved in the club stuff, and ISWA's coming up. I know we were talking with Bill. Bill, we were talking about getting Bill on. He said he's going to come out and hang out. Had to push the computer back, just jump right in here.
Yeah.
Um, but nah, just a good season, man. Good people.
Yeah.
Um,
Should be some.
good events. Like the guys that we more people watch this than I really ever thought.
Yeah.
Like I think that's always like the coolest thing is like when we go to state finals, it's always really cool that you get to meet a lot of people that watch the show, and that's always like a really cool just the people that you meet. But it's always interesting. I listened to the Dane and Rex show, the last one that they had, and Dane's right. Like one of the coolest things was just like sitting Friday night in Dane's room, just like hanging out, talking wrestling.
Hmm.
And like things that like we don't like. One, there's a lot of stuff we can't say on air, whether it's like a rumor. We're not trying to spread rumors. We're not like rumor spreaders, or I don't think we try to do a lot of hot takes on here. But there's like things that we hear. Dane said it was really cool that like you know he was there in that like four with Bobby Joe, Blake Maurer, Nick Coons, and man, his name's escaping me right now. Nick Hobbs of Beach Grove. And he said that was like one of the cooler like four wrestling because I think they're both overtime matches. And he's like, Bobby Joe's in there. We're just talking wrestling. And he's like, I remember him wrestling at the state finals. And I was like, yeah, and you can't take it for granted because I talk to Bobby Joe all the time. But it's just like a cool thing to get down there and hang out. The IndianaMat dinner was really cool. Just hanging out with those guys and just, talking wrestling and just, meeting different people. I met Will Mason's mom. She told me he doesn't look like Nick Weisjan. I said, no, man, it's not that we think he looks like Nick Weisjan, that like he wrestles like a young Nick Weisjan.
Yes.
And I know he had an injury at the end of the year, and I hope he's doing better. And I think he has a bright future ahead. And it was her birthday, which was really cool. And they said they watch the show all the time, which was really cool, man. It's just, when you meet those people, it's a really cool thing. And you realize like how much like this reaches people.
Yep, definitely. It's we have a great wrestling community. I think it's pretty cool to be a part of and do what we do kind of accidentally over 15 years of all this fun stuff. So yeah, we'll be back. I don't know. I know I want to do some more stuff and maybe we will. I'll have a little more time in the off season other than my baseball for Rocco will be starting up soon. So gotta get
baseball. Check out baseball cards with Rocco.
Yes. There's a Rocco and Dad cards. Baseball card show Facebook page. So you can see all his favorite cards. We're going to a card show this weekend, so we'll see what we bring home.
I might try to jump on like once a month. We'll have to see just schedule wise. As it goes on, like I'll be out in the field, so I'll be more tan. It'll still be me. But maybe we could do like once a month. And I know there's at least enough wrestling to cover for once a month.
Yeah,
definitely. Got the folk style, freestyle, Fargo stuff. NCAA's is coming up. Congratulations to Eric McGill.
Oh yeah.
We didn't really touch on that. Eric was one of the first guys on the site. Original rankings guy, was doing it from Ithaca, New York, while still studying for the Ivy League
and wrestling.
And wrestling. And he's gonna officiate the NCAA's, which is amazing. Yeah. So not only will you be spotting Joe, you can do the Joe spotting. Take a shot every time you see Joe on NCAA. Yes. Eric McGill is going to be out there on the big mat, which is, I know, a huge goal for him. And he's worked incredibly hard to get there. He's a really good official.
Yeah, I think we might, I don't know, I was talking to him about maybe getting on just to talk about reffing and stuff. And I know, it's kind of cool to be a part of. Yeah, Eric's been a good friend of mine for a long time, for a while, since he was even in high school. On the original board, we kind of talked a lot and end up meeting up a few times. Actually, when he was a senior in high school, I stayed with him and his dad at NCAs, my first NCAs, both of our NCAs, and it was pretty neat. He was reffing at IPO, and I was sitting beside Dwayne Goldman when he was a head coach at IU, and Angel, and Dwayne's wife. I think he was reffing, I want to say Mendez and Moran. So it was like a quarterfinal match, but Eric was reffing that, and Goldman's like, "Who is that guy?" I go, he looks really good. I go, "That's Eric McGill." He's like, I was like, he was a 2-time state champ, wrestled at Cornell. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember him." Obviously he actually went to a home visit there, so he obviously the name is like, okay, that might And he's like, he's really good. And like, does he have his college license? I said, I know that he was looking into it. And then he ended up doing their like wrestle offs that year. So, and that was only his second or third year, probably his second year of reffing. So, and it's kind of, and then he ended up getting him in touch with some pretty big people, and it's amazing if you're in the right place at the right time, and the right people see you. And obviously he's had to perform. I mean, if he didn't perform, he wouldn't be where he is, because that's a pretty crazy. There's a lot of politics in it, and there's a lot of, you got to play the game a little bit, but it's also, you got to be good. If you don't perform, if you have one bad match, you're done. And I even know, talking to him, he's like, I don't. They kind of recommend not even doing like D2 or D3 matches, because say you have just a bad match. I mean, we're human. We're gonna have a bad match, and he's like, that video gets around, you're screwed, and that's because you did nothing against Manchester and Trine, a Manchester Trine match, and you just weren't on your game. You just had a bad day, and now that match is getting around to everybody, and you're screwed for advancing. So.
I remember like when he very first started getting into it, like some of the very like technical like hand positioning and the calls, and like the way like you know, like he would say like, man, like you gotta have like very crisp calls. And I was like, I didn't think about it that ever in that depth, and that was like a big part of it.
Yeah. If you ever
Mrs. Mason said they love Nick. I love Nick too.
Yeah. If you ever watch like college wrestling, they are like two, and they are like very, it's like, they are very crisp and very mechanical almost, but it's really interesting to watch if you watch the like NCAAs and Big Tens and Big 12s and stuff. So he'll be roughing. Eric got to do I think we talked about it, but he was doing the Big 12s, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State at the Bedlam. So
he did Nebraska, or not Nebraska, but Northwestern and Ohio State.
Yeah.
And someone texted me like, "Is that Eric McGill like roughing that match?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, he's big time, man. He's out here killing it." Miss Mason, we know you like Nick Shine. He's a great guy. We all love Nick.
No one dislikes Nick. Well,
Nick said Fabio Jr. wishes you well. He wanted me to tell people that at State.
Yeah. So.
If I got a video, like I don't know if I could have got a video of it, but but obviously we love Nick. Nick also, a big part of the site. Still love seeing Nick. It was great seeing him at Al Smith.
Oh yes. Rocco loves Nick. Yeah. The best question he has when we were going there to his apartment, he's like, "Is Nick a grown up?" And that's one of those questions your kids ask you, and you're like, "Well, yes, no, yeah, yes, he is, yes." For all intents and purposes, he is a grown up. Does he act like one? Well, we'll leave that to everyone else's judgment.
But yeah, so I think that's gonna be really cool. So you can see Eric out there.
Mm-hmm.
You see Joe. Obviously, he's there. I don't know.
The professor's going to be there also.
Nice. The
Mike
professor.
Morgan. He just was
hopefully he has
me.
a better suit than he did at the state finals.
Yeah. Well, he wears his Team USA jacket that he got because he's a world team member and a world placer from the veterans. Acts like he's like, yeah, look, see, I'm a world placer. So I know he just texted me about lodging. So yeah.
So, pretty excited. It's like not only wrestling wise, we got some guys doing some big things at the NCAA's too, which is really cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a good few weeks of wrestling. We got obviously NCAAs, NAIAs, D2s, D3s, ISWA. A lot of good things. That's the season's not over, and so hopefully we can get on a couple times, and maybe I'll get on with some other people. So
do a live from the NCAA's. You're a wild man. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
I partied too hard though.
So anyway, we will be back sometime soon. We'll give you guys try to give you a heads up, but just have notifications on and jump on. So congrats to all our winners, and we will see you guys sometime soon.